Hello traders, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Hassan, and we are going to be having the weekly analysis into our best pairs that we expect to trade this coming week. Today is a Saturday, so a lot has happened during the week, and I've come to analyze for you the pairs that we expect to trade this coming week. Okay, so the week has not been nice to us. We've missed a few trades that we had set up. However, going into this new week, we shall see whether we shall have a better week. We always prepare and then wait patiently, execute as snipers and get some pips. Okay, so now I'm going to go straight to the charts. I don't want to waste a lot of your time, so I'm going to go straight to the charts. However, before I do that, you guys subscribe to the channel. I'm just like usual, guys, you know what we do here. I'm just going to give you like 5 seconds. You subscribe, so we start immediately with our analysis into the majors. Okay guys, subscribe to the channel and then we go straight to the analysis. 5 seconds, subscribe. Okay, I hope you're done. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be running through these pairs smoothly. I'm not going to be wasting any time. So you're going to start with gold XAUUSD. XAUUSD. So this is gold. I'm going to be fast, so try to see that you catch up. If you don't catch up, it is okay. You can always watch the video later slowly. So this is XAUUSD and this is the weekly time frame. So there I'm not going to be drawing the lines. I think I've done many videos of those lines, so you're just going to be following with me. If you can't, the reason I was putting the lines, it is simply to make sure that you follow with me step by step and you know exactly what I be doing. So now I'm not going to be doing them because they take a lot of time, and I know by now you know where they're supposed to be, highs and lows of the previous week's candle, and then you identify the demand and supply zones, then you do a top-down analysis. So that is what we're going to be doing. So on gold, first things first, we are on the weekly time frame and the direction is bullish. However, gold is retracing, and when it is retracing, the nearest weekly supply zone, demand zone, is here. So we expect gold to retrace up to this area here. However, it is not a guarantee that gold will retrace up to that area, but at least according to the weekly, that is the area that is nearest that we expect gold to retrace to if it is going to come down. So now we know it is an uptrend. However, there's a retracement right now, so we give priorities to buys, but if we see a sell setup, why not take it? Good. So now on the weekly, we see there's a weekly demand zone here, so we could expect gold to come up here and then go to the upside. That is what we expect. However, it could take 2, 3, 4 months, 4 weeks, even 1 month before gold reaches here. So we cannot be waiting for 1 month to trade. That is now where we go to the lower time frames to get for immediate trends. So when you drop to the daily, we know that price is retracing, gold is retracing. When you drop to the daily, what do you see? You see a demand zone here. Why is it a demand zone? There's a little consolidation before this good upward move, which removed even supply zone here. So this qualifies as a demand zone, and we see price is pointing here. And then we can also refine this weekly demand zone to this candle here. So being gold, we would refine it to the body. Don't want to play with gold. So there you see this huge move here, very beautiful demand zone around that area. So now we have 2 areas to deal with, but before we come here, we shall definitely first come here. So this is the one we are giving priority. So if you are selling, you're selling into this area. Do we have a trend line that might be stopping price to do whatever we are analyzing? One here, I think it is this one. which was broken. So there's a trend line there. This was looking like a 30 touch, but it has been breached. So price is heading down. Price is heading to the downside. Price is heading to the downside like that. So this has been a rising wedge, and you know a rising wedge in most cases, price when it comes up it's going to break down. In most cases, not all the time. So I'll just remove these trend lines in order not to be confused. So we know that price wants to come where? We know that price wants to come here. Okay. It doesn't want to come there, but it's showing us that it wants to come here. So you drop down to the 4 hour. When you drop down to the 4 hour, what do you see? You see a high, a low, a high, a low, a high, a high, and now we have formed a lower low. We have broken this demand zone. We are trending down. Okay, you have not broken it clearly, but you see there was a rejection. Price went up. I'm hoping. Anyway, it looks good, but the ideal scenario I would have wanted for gold to do is to break. If it had broken here and closed here comfortably, I would be looking for this area to sell gold up to down here, but it hasn't broken comfortably. It's looking like it's still in the demand zone. So this since this is a daily demand zone, this 4 hour supply zone, it has to be weak. It is a weak 4 hour supply zone. However, we shall wait and see if next week opens and we get a candle that comfortably closes below here, a 4 hour candle, then that one will be a good area to sell from. Okay, so now gold, this is what we are expecting, price to come here and then drop down. Let me see on the 1 hour if we have something significant on the 1 hour. It is still the same area on the 1 hour, same area on the 1 hour, same area. So price has broken below here, so we expect, and it is like retracing, we expect something like this, price to come here and then we can drop down. That is what I expect. However, if it fails, then the demand zone that will be responsible for breaking this supply zone, no. If it fails, we will need it to go all the way up here. So if it fails, it will have to come and break this area. Then the demand zone that will be responsible for the break of this area is the one we shall use to buy to the upside. That is what I expect on gold. That is what I expect on gold for now. So that is what I expect on gold. I don't expect gold. There's nothing much on it. Nedda. Nedda gifunira awo. Bakubeko stamp. Wandetera cashew nuts. Okay guys, I was making a phone call. Sorry about that, but it's now done. So let's proceed with our analysis. Okay, so now gold, that is it. We go to US oil. Start from the weekly time frame. I told you guys I'm not going to be drawing the lines because I've been using them for so long. So now you guys should be well conversant with that. I need to keep my charts as clean as possible. Okay, so now we have US oil. This is the weekly time frame. What we predicted last week played out very well on the US oil. This was the 30 touch on the trend line. It did the magic. We dropped. This was the supply zone. We dropped up to here. So now we have US oil. We are currently at a daily demand zone, but we have a weekly demand zone down here. So I wouldn't want to trade on the daily demand zone. We have a big weekly demand zone which is so looking beautiful. So a daily demand zone is here, and I told you this last week. We are currently in a daily demand zone. Price is reacting in that area. So if I were you by now, if I bought US oil around this area, I would have taken my profits by now. That is around 140 pips there. You would have taken your profits there and moved out. That is a 1:1.2 moved out. Why? Because if we have a weekly demand zone down there, mostly the weekly demand zone is stronger, so price may decide to come down here, just the weekly demand zone, before it can buy to the upside. That is what I see. However, if it doesn't, we might come to test the weekly supply zone, the daily supply zone here, and then drop to the weekly demand zone, which is so unlikely because this is very far away from this, but price can do anything. You just have to be optimistic. If it breaks above here and gives you a demand zone, then you use that to buy up to here and then take your profits here and then be looking to sell up to down here. However, if it breaks down here, then we shall look for confirmation entries on the 1 hour to buy to the upside. That is for the daily on US oil. Then when we come to the 4 hour, there's nothing much. For me, I still think that we are going to drop here on the 4 hour. Still think we are going to drop here, and look at what is happening on the 4 hour. We have a jump demand zone, and we say that when you're ranking demand zones, when you find where a demand zone that has a jump, then that is a very strong demand zone. So there was a jump, and then we broke structure, removed the trend line, so we went up. Though the movement up is not great, but still we went up. So we shall be waiting for to see US oil come here and then we buy. However, if it decides to break here and go up, we shall use the demand zone that it will leave us back. Let me see on the 1 hour. 1 hour, it is a straight up consolidation, guys. Straight up consolidation. So we shall need to see US oil. We shall need to see a break of this consolidation here. Good. So if we break this consolidation to the upside, then we shall look for a demand zone that broke the consolidation, we buy. If we break it to the downside, we shall look for a supply zone that is responsible for the break, and then we sell. So you can do the same on US oil and then wait, because right now we're just moving sideways. So any break will give us on where to go. So we shall be waiting patiently. That is US oil. So we shall go to Euro USD. Euro USD shall start from the weekly time frame. My markings are still there. So Euro USD on the weekly time frame, there was a supply zone on the weekly time frame that was removed, and we are heading up. So we have this one that was created, demand zone. Even this one, they have not yet been retested. And before we come down, there's a support and the two resistance here. Price went up. So on the weekly time frame, there's nothing much. We're still very much bullish. We are going up. Yeah, so we have a supply zone, a demand zone here, down here, weekly demand zone down there. So you can expect price to come and then go up, which is so unlikely according to me, according to what I see there. So when you come to the daily, what do you see? There is a daily demand zone. I think I'll not take the 2 candles. Let me just take one. A daily demand zone here, and then there is also this is a 4 hour. There's a daily demand zone here. This one on the weekly, it was clearly tested down. So there's nothing here. There is one here, there's another one here. So we drop to the 4 hour and refine them. When you come to the 4 hour, they are still there. We have this one on the daily, which is down, and this is one. Those are one of the setups that I use for full margin. This is support broken, then turned into resistance, giving us a demand zone, and then going up. Definitely when we come here, you expect much to happen, and it is the same thing up here. Support, resistance, broken, turned to support, demand zone, and went up. So we shall be looking at this area to buy next week. Something like open was price time, and then we buy. First level target should be definitely the previous high until maybe we can be looking to take it to the next supply zone. How many pips are you looking at? You're risking 30 pips to make first 130, that is 1:4, and then 190, 1:6. That is what I expect, guys. That is what I do expect on Euro USD. If I come to the 1 hour, is there anything? Nah, same thing. Okay, GBP USD. GBP USD still the same thing. You know, these pairs they have a high sense of correlation, so they move the same. We have a demand zone here. We've broken the supply zone on the weekly with this big engulfing bullish candle. So the weekly suggests that we are bullish. So when we come, we shall be looking for only buys according to the weekly. Come to the daily, same thing. We have our support broken, turns into resistance, demand zone, and then we shoot up. This is the daily demand zone that's what we used, and we have another one here. And then come to the 4 hour, same thing as we have on Euro USD, because these pairs correlate. They almost move alike. Resistance broken, turned into support, give us demand zone, go up. When you come here, we are buying to the upside. Same thing here. Resistance broken, turned into support. This one has been used many times. Now this one is, guys, this one is, it is good, but it was used. It is from a previous demand zone. So okay, so now this on Euro USD and GBP USD, the upper zones, we shall be using them for confirmation entries. This is where we shall set the buy limits, but here we shall use confirmation entries. However, I think it can hold because we have resistance that turned into support. I think it can hold and we go to the upside. So proceed to GBP USD. You see, when you prepare in advance, things become so much easy. GBP USD on the weekly time frame. GBP USD on the weekly time frame. Let me remove this. USD JPY, sorry, USD JPY on the weekly time frame. So we have a weekly supply zone here that has not been retested, just like it was on US oil. Weekly supply zone, very clean, untested. So we think that price is going to test this area before it can come down. So now the weekly says that we are going up, and this even the trend line is pointing up. So when I come to the daily it is almost the same thing. So we have that weekly supply zone that is in control, and now we have liquidity here. People who trade supply and resistance, you know, this is looking like resistance. So we have liquidity testing here. So price is more likely to go up, test this area, and then it can come down. But that will be for later. We shall cross the bot when the river and reach there. For now, we are targeting this high. Good. So now that we are targeting this high, drop down to the, this is a demand zone that I marked. I didn't buy from it. It was beautiful. But I didn't buy from it. I just marked it. However, price reacted from it very well, and now it is heading to the upside. So we just pray that it keeps on going up. First level target is here, 370 pips, but it might go up to 500 pips. That is what we think on GBP USD. So how do you take advantage of this? See, USD JPY, simple. You drop down to the 1 hour and see if there are demand zones. The 1 hour demand zones, I think the only demand zone we have a valid one is this one here. So just drop down to the 15 minutes to refine it. See, drop, base, rally, very good demand zone, very good demand zone. This is what demand zone I would recommend any day. Down here it is all balanced. This one was tested by this week here. This one was tested by these 2 weeks here. You see there was a demand zone here that broke structure. This one here. There was also another one here. This one here. So this one was tested by this week. Price went up, hit your targets, then created another one here which was tested by these 2 weeks here. Price went up. So they are all efficient. Down here, price is efficient. There is only an open zone here, which has not yet been covered by any wicks. So we are waiting for price action to come, tap in, and then take you to the upside. For USDJPY, this is the area to buy from and take price to the upside going into next week. Okay, that is USDJPY. So we go to USD card. USD card, this pair has played me. It has played me, but we are trying to manage it. So USD card, we broke the trend line that has been holding price for a longest period of time. This one here. Where is it? Come. This one. We broke it, and now we are heading to the upside. Let me just remove this, because before we reach here, we shall pass down there. So we broke the trend line, and it's looking like we want to come and retest it on the daily time frame. Broke the trend, broke out of the trend line, removed this supply zone, and now it looks like we want to come and retest the trend line as well as this daily demand zone. Then we look up. That is on USD card. So when I drop down to the 4 hour, this is what I see. There's a demand zone here, very clean demand zone, very clean demand zone, and then we have broken the trend line. We are coming to retest it. Price went up. Okay, there's an upward trend line that price broke from here. That is not a trend line. This is the one. Okay, all the trends I'm trying to do were broken, signifying a change of momentum. Demand zone removed, demand zone removed. So that means we are in a downtrend. So price came to test this demand zone here. However, it went through, and then immediately, look at that huge rejection. It showed you that the sellers are in total control. So we expect price to come up to around here. How do we take advantage of it? Or how do we drive price to these lows that we need to buy from? So you go to the lower time frames and look for sell entries to that low. So far, when I see here, there's nothing here on the 15 minutes. However, we shall wait for price action to open, the market to open next week, and then we see how we can take advantage of this, send price down here. Okay, so we proceed. Child can make noise. We proceed to USD chef. USD chef. It is the same thing on USD chef. We have hit the weekly demand zone, and we are expecting a rejection to go to the upside. This is a weekly demand zone that we have hit. Nothing much on the weekly. When I go to the daily, I have a trend line that is holding price action to the downside. So what we are going to be waiting on the daily is price move inside out, turn, come. It's either touch the trend line for the third touch and drop down further, or we break the trend line and then look to the upwards. Same thing on the 4 hour. We still down, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So we're still waiting for the same thing. We need price to turn upside down. So now what you see here is price has made a lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. So are we coming to make another lower low, or we shall come to make a double low and then look upwards? For USDJPY, we shall wait for the 1 hour to show us that it has turned inside out. Come and break this structure here. If this makes a lower, if it does not make a lower, if it makes a lower, then we shall be looking for this to break, and then we start buying USDJPY. So for now, USDJPY is in the weekly supply zone, the demand zone, and we're expecting it to buy. Okay, USDCF. Guys. Okay, we are good to go there. We are good to go. So let's wait for USDHF to turn inside out, cross this trend line, break above here, and then we shall be looking to buy to the upside. Good. So that is all for today. Maybe if I could touch on, I think GBP JPY, most people trade this pair. GBP JPY, as you see it, that is how I want to trade it. So what we are seeing here is GBP JPY broke above this, not clearly, but it did broke above this supply zone, but not so clear. Not so clear. But I would say it broke above, and in the medium trend is an uptrend. So when I come to the daily, this is a daily supply zone that has been breached by GBP JPY, signaling that we are going to the upside. So how do you take advantage of this? Simple. Come to the lower time frames, look at the nearest demand zone. So I have two demand zones on GBP JPY. This is a demand zone here. Why it broke structure here? Look at the displacement, a move away, very huge move away, breaking structure. And now you have this one here. This one is my best demand zone that I would want to trade from. Why? Because there is support which turns into resistance here, and then there's a very huge move away, very huge displacement, creating that imbalance there. There is an indecision candle here which creates demand. So I would be thinking we can get a reaction here, but finally we shall come and use this to buy to the upside. But however, price can just decide to use this and buy to the upside. But on the 4 hour, it is looking so good. Demand zone is looking so good. So GBP JPY, that is what I'm expecting. I'm expecting buys, but only from this area here. We can use confirmation the 15-minute time frame to buy from here, and then buy limits from this area down here. So I think, guys, that is all I have for today. You can proceed and compare my analysis with what you have, and then comment in the comment section and tell me what you have and what you expect me to talk about next time. So that is all, guys. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. You can subscribe to the channel if you like the video. If you find the video valuable and useful to you, you can also like the video. So as we go to next week, let's follow those trends and see what we can make out of the market. Bye for today.